Shalom, 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 shalom. What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Shalom, shalom, shalom. Pop Curry, what's going on? Love you. All the brothers, Moreh, what's going on? Moreh Benjamin, what's going on? Shalom to you as well. Shalom, Moreh, Derek Sala. Shalom to all the brethren that are tuning in. Minister Casey. I'm finally getting a chance to see people that's on here, man. Sometimes Facebook they be tripping, man. I'm getting a few people time to jump in here, man, because I want to say something. I want to talk to these left-wing protesters, okay? And if y'all know me, man, I am the type of individual who does love to see ripples through the community, as Deacon Mark Twain says. Shalom, what's going on, Elder Ramsey? I'm not going to be on here long. I'm just going to give a couple people here time to jump in here. Okay. Let me go ahead and get started because I'm not going to be on here long. This is dedicated to all of the left-wing protesters, okay? Now, I know the title has probably gotten you into thinking with the climate of things that are going on in this world, and especially in the United States, that the title is deriving from some form of political response. As I told you all, I don't get involved or engage in any form of political rhetoric or conversation or anything dealing with the current climate of the politics of today. I'm talking about the left-wing protesters who left the assembly. I'm talking to the left-wing protesters who left the church, who seem to have left, who have verbally left, who have left in actions and in presence, who have forsaken the gathering of the body of believers, and they continue to run their mouths. They continue to put up a form of protest because they couldn't control the Senate, because they couldn't control the Congress, because they could not control the gathering, the believers, or the body in which they were so-called have sworn themselves to be dedicated to. I'm speaking directly to you. Okay, I've been quiet on this subject. I haven't said much. I see it all the time on Facebook, and I feel as though now is kind of the climate for me to address certain things. Okay, it is not, and I want y'all to hear me for us really good here. Okay, I want you to hear me very well. Shalom, Auntie Evelyn. I want you to hear me very well. If we were actually following the foundational principles of the Bible, then many of you wouldn't even have an opportunity to actually leave the assembly. You would have been kicked out the assembly if we are actually following the scriptures to the T of what old and new. In fact, you wouldn't have the opportunity to even throw a subliminal or have any form of subliminal or any form of anything, okay? Because we would generally, if we're following the script, we would actually line you up and put your name on the paper or on the roll, plaster it all over billboards about how wicked you actually were, in which we actually covered you from doing those, from being exposed in a lot of areas. But when you actually leave, you want to put up a protest. You wouldn't have an opportunity to actually walk out of the building. You would have been kicked out a long time ago. I.e., remember in 1 Corinthians where Shaul, they wrote a letter to Shaul, Paul, and asked him, how do we deal with a man who's sleeping with his mother? And he tells them to kick him out of the church. Some of you are even on that same level of doing certain things that we haven't even kicked you out. And you should have been kicked out a long time ago. Nobody controls the leadership in the assembly. Nobody controls the organism of the assembly. And if you decide to leave the assembly, leave. Be gone. Don't put up a protest. It's actually, and here's the thing, here's another thing that trips me out about the left-wing protesters, those who decided to leave. Hey, shalom, sister, Bougie. Those who decided to leave, okay? Here's the thing that trips me out. It's awfully funny. If you do the statistics on those who actually are part of the left-wing club, you don't hardly see anybody who was actually in leadership protesting. You know what you see? You see a bunch of people who are protesting, people who actually decided to leave. We didn't kick them out. They decided to leave, okay? And what you see is people who were actually not actually dedicated to the assembly. They aren't even dedicated to the Most High. They weren't even functionally involved in anything. They didn't really lead anything. It's a bunch of people who were part-timers, okay? Who were part-timers. Nobody who gave blood, sweat, and tears. Entitlement thinking driven individuals, thinking that also that they bring something to the table, and in fact they actually never contributed. Nobody ever seen them being able to present anything to the table. No, people who are functionally in leadership, who's given their blood, sweat, and tears to ministry, you don't see them oftentimes out here complaining about what ministry not doing. And to be honest with you, that is childish acts, okay? Grown, mature believers know how to follow the code of conduct of scriptures. If there is an offense, you deal with it with the individual. But no, you know what's happened? Here's what happened. Here's what social media has become, okay, beloved. Social media has become a place where, and this is not all people, this is some, but the majority, I'm talking to the left-wing protesters, okay? Social media has become a haven for left-wing protesters who can gather a bunch of other left-wing protesters to get on their side. So you have a bunch of people who were not actually functioning in ministry, who didn't actually show up, who actually didn't really do anything, contribute anything. And it creates a place for them to have a voice to complain about something that's not even reality. That's what it's become. That's what it's become. It becomes a place where people have an opportunity to share their thoughts. About half the stuff that they're sharing is just their thoughts. Just because you gather a bunch of people who have experienced the same thing that you haven't actually experienced, that don't mean you're correct or right in your protest. There's a lot of people who protest. We see the LGBT people protesting. Does that mean they're right? There are people protest all the time for different things. But here's the thing. The thing is, too, if you actually decide to leave, and I want to say this, and I hope you hear me in this, okay? If you decide to actually step foot out the door and decide to say that you're leaving, okay? We as leaders, we as the community are not obligated to chase you down. Let me say that. For those of y'all that's not clear, we're not, no, it's a blessing if we decide to come after you. And please don't use this whole thing about he left the 99 to go after the one, misinterpreting that scripture. Because we're not obligated to do that. We're not obligated to run after you. And people say, oh, what are you talking about? Let me put some scripture on it, okay? For those of y'all that want to say, oh, that's not script. No, you're supposed to chase after me. Hold on. No, we're not. We're not obligated to run after you and chase you down. We're not obligated for that. We're not obligated to that. If we do decide to do that, that's a blessing, okay? But we're not obligated to continue to run after an individual who's running the opposite way. That makes no sense. Nobody does that, okay? And I'm going to show you with a few scriptures, and I'm going to get out your way. Because this has gone on long enough. And people got it twisted. And again, once again, the people who have actually functioned and been in leadership are the ones who are protesting. And half of the people who are functioning and protesting, okay, who aren't functioning within ministry and are protesting, are generally the ones who don't even know the Bible. They don't even know scripture. This is the thing. So if you don't know scripture, we know that you don't know the Most High, and we know that you don't know order. And that's the bottom line. This is going on long enough. It's across the board with folks. Okay? This is a bunch of madness. And people have, again, if you're going to protest, at least know your rights. Okay? At least know the law. If you're going to protest, whatever you're going to do, know something in doing what you're doing. Not just a bunch of talk. Okay? And if you were never in leadership or never dedicated to the body, how can you even say what anybody in leadership or what anybody within the body is supposed to be doing? Because you yourself is not even attached to the body, nor you were never a part of the body. So you have no right to even say or know what the body is supposed to be doing. Let me put some scripture on. It says y'all think that we're supposed to run after you. 2 Timothy chapter number 4 and verse number 10. We're going to go to Paul. Okay? Let's see what happens dealing with Shaul. What did Paul do? Listen what he says here. In 2 Timothy chapter number 4 and verse number 10, it says, "For as Demas, having loved the pleasures of this present world, has deserted me and gone to Thessalonica." Listen, Demas leaves Paul. Leaves him. Do you think Paul ran after Demas? Can anybody show me any scripture where Paul chased after Demas? No, he didn't. So you decide you want to leave? Fine. You don't want to do the work? Fine. You don't want to be a part of their body? Fine. You want to leave and run after the things of the world? Fine. You don't want to be committed? Fine. Leave. But you don't have no right to protest after you left, because you are not a part of the body anymore. And Paul let Demas go. Bye. Guess what? The assembly, the church moves on without you. It moves on without you. The church don't stop because you leave. The church don't stop because you leave. It does not stop because you decide to leave. So when you left, bye, be gone. You're not going to control the leadership, nor you're going to control the body that's there. When you leave, we send you a going off. We give you a great going off. Hey, we love you. Hey, good luck. You left. Listen what Paul say. Demas deserted him, left him by himself, and went to Thessalonica. And Paul, let me tell you something, man. Let's really get it. Let's really get something clear. Paul was calling folk out, man. See, that's what I'm saying. See, we don't really. If we really, y'all think we was mean. Y'all think leadership was angry. Oh, leadership is mean. They angry. How dare he do that to them? How dare he? Y'all don't understand scripture. You don't even understand that if we truly did this like how we doing it, followed the actual biblical way, your behind would have been kicked out a long time ago. And your sin and your business would have been plastered all over the community. But no, you don't appreciate how we function. You want to take advantage how we function. You want to appreciate it. You want to take advantage of it. But yet, we don't actually function like we should function in its totality. Shalom, Brother Marcus. We don't. Because half of y'all jokers would have been kicked out. You wouldn't have survived. Okay? You wouldn't have survived ministry in that day. You wouldn't survive, let alone dealing with the beatings and being thrown in jail and being martyred. Okay, that's one aspect, and then we got to deal with folks like y'all. Then we got to deal with folks like y'all. All the hell that we're not going through that. We're not going through the hell that they went through, but we have our own form of persecution, if you want to call it that. And then we got to deal with you. not dedicated, not faithful. You want to control folks. You want to tell leadership what to do. And yet we turn around and look at it's. And let me get on. I'm gonna get on another bus since I'm here. Since I'm here, let me jump all the way off the soapbox. Okay. The left-wing protesters that leave the assembly, that leave the church, okay? Not only do you complain and not only do you say what leadership should be doing, but you are one of the main ones that love to try to bring indictments of somebody stealing some money, okay? Let's jump all the way off the soapbox for y'all left-wingers that want to protest who left the body, okay? You always want to complain about somebody stealing some money, and you always want to be the one complaining about this, that, and the third. See, if we actually looked at the role, if we actually presented the role publicly to your claim, okay, you made $50,000 in a year, okay? When we look at the role, you gave $200 for the whole year. Now, let's talk about it. Since y'all left-wing want to throw us stuff, you probably, generally, the left-winger is the one who actually gave the less out of the whole church, and it's people that make less than the left-winger that gave more. We're going to jump all the way off the soapbox because I'm tired of y'all. I'm sick and tired of y'all. I'm sick and tired of y'all running y'all mouth, okay, on social media because social media gave you a platform, okay? Anybody else, you can't do that too. You can't step in the assembly where you came from and start talking this rhetoric and this foolishness that y'all be popping off on social media. The people in the assembly look at you like you crazy. You clown and show out for the people online, but the people in the assembly, the body, they know you. And to be honest with you, it's the leadership who you want to control is the one that's keeping the dogs off you. That's those within the leadership, within the ministry. Some of the lay members, the pastor got to keep the dogs off you. Because the pastor, the leader, the Moreh is the one saying, hey, don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. Don't say nothing about it. Don't say nothing to them. Let them get, while y'all are popping up, it's the doggone leader, the pastor, the one over there, keeping the lay members and everybody else off you. Calm down. Don't worry about it. I see it. Don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. Let the Most High deal with them. That's the leader that's saying that. Everybody else saying, hey, let me out the gate. Take the leash off me. And this is the problem. That people, you want to sit up here and pop off about what somebody not doing and all this other stuff. No, we're not going to deal with that. Okay, so let's deal with, we done deal with Paul. Now, we're going to go to Hamashiach. We're going to go to Christ. We're going to go to Yeshua. We're going to go to Jesus. And we're going to see what he had to say. We're going to see if he ran after these folks. Okay, we're going to see if he ran after these folks. We're going to go to John, okay, chapter number 6. And we're going to start at verse 65. And we're going to see, I just showed you Paul ain't running after no Demas. Paul ain't running after no Titus either. Okay, Titus, John Mark, Demas, he ain't run after none of them folks. You want to bounce by deuces, okay, out of here. Now, let's see what Yeshua do. John 6 and 65. And he was saying, this is the reason why I have told you that no one can come to me unless it be granted him. That is, unless he is enabled to do so by the Father. Shalom, brother Zedekiah. Verse number 66. As a result of this, many of his disciples abandoned him. Now, we just seen that Demas abandoned Paul. And Paul ain't run after him. Now we seeing that Yeshua, that Christ, that Jesus, okay, now he had many other disciples other than the 12. And those 65 so disciples or 60 disciples, they ran off and abandoned him too. But let's see what Yeshua says. He said they abandoned him and no longer walk with him, no longer, which means they didn't come back. So guess what? When you leave, our prayer and hope is that you come back. But if you don't, deuces. The church moves on without you. because nobody has their hand or finger on the church stopping it from move. Nobody is controlling the assembly but Yeshua. Okay, now let's keep reading verse 67. So Yeshua said to the 12 disciples, he looked at the 12. Now mind you, over 60 disciples left. Now he talking to the 12. He said, okay, they left, cool. Hey, let me holler at y'all real quick. What did Yeshua say? You do not want to leave too, do you? You don't want to leave with them? Do you want to leave with them? Because they leaving and they ain't coming back. Because of his foreknowledge, he know they ain't coming back. Those disciples ain't coming back. So guess what? He asked the 12, y'all want to leave with him? Because guess what? If y'all leave with him, it's always some more people out here that's going to do the work. It's always some more people out here that's going to be obedient. It's always some more people out here that's going to be connected to the body. It's always some more people out here that is willing to accept the mission, the purpose, and the understanding of the assembly and embrace leadership out here. You are not the only ones out here. There are others that have not bowed to Baal, as he had to tell the prophet. You ain't the only one. You really think you're the only one? You think you're the only one that can teach? You think you're the only one that can rap? You think you're the only one that can sing? You think you're the only one that can do poetry? You think you're the only one that can serve? It's a whole lot of people out here that wish they had the ability. Why don't you go holler at some of these brothers and sisters that's out here in South Dakota and some Montana, all alone by themselves, wishing they had an assembly to fellowship with, and they got to watch online. They can't touch nobody, have fellowship with nobody, but you right in the city. You in Atlanta, you in Florida, you in New York, you in all these other places, and you got entitlement thinking, and you complaining, and this, that, and the third, and these people out here all over in Alaska and places like that by themselves don't have nobody to fellowship with, and you complaining? How dare you complain? You ought to be ashamed of yourself with your entitlement, ungrateful self, because you can't control things and get away with whatever you want to get away with and have the body doing what you say do. It don't work like that. And guess what? You want to leave too? Hey, go ahead, 12. Y'all can walk with them. Y'all can step two. Y'all can step two. Look what he says here. He says in verse number 68, Simon Peter answered, Lord, or Elohim, whom shall we go? Where are we going to go? See, it's always somebody in the bunch that got common sense. See, the left-wing protester, he has no common sense. You know why? Because he's selfish. Selfish folk lack common sense. Let me tell you something. Left-wing folks who left the body of Yeshua, they lack common sense. Because you know why? Because their common sense have been overrun by their entitlement thinking. And nobody can do anything with a person that has a mindset of entitlement. You can't do nothing with that individual. So it's best for that individual to get the stepping. It's best for them to get the stepping. Can't do nothing with them. Peter answered, Elohim, to whom shall we go? You alone have the words of eternal life. You are our only hope. He's saying, I know that I'm called to this ministry. Here's the thing. If you feel you're called, see, this is what I don't understand about left-wing protesters too. If this assembly, if BOOM or any other ministry don't fit you, go find an assembly that fits you. Peter said, this is the ministry that fits me. But the left-wing protester don't do that. You know what the left-wing protester do? The left-wing protester leaves where you're at, because guess why? Because the left-wing protester probably have left 5 other assemblies before they got to yours, because they couldn't control that assembly. Then they come to your assembly. They don't go to another assembly. You know why? Because they're too busy with entitlement thinking and want to be sympathetic and want to be the victim and turn around and they know that they can't really go anywhere else. So guess what they do? They find themselves being a couch potato. And you know what happens with the left-wing protester, the entitlement thinking individual? He ain't reading his word. She not reading her word. He's not praying. She's not praying. He's not fasting. She's not fasting. You know what they do? They're trying to find every means, any way possible, to corrupt others, or trying to find the crowd to get behind them, because in actuality, all they want to do is be the victim so that way they can reign supreme. You know what? That's Hasatan's thinking. Hasatan can't just go and approach the throne and overthrow it by himself. No, he has to poison the minds of others, because he got entitlement thinking, oh, I'm great, I'm beautiful, I can sing, I can do all of these things, and yet let me go ahead and round up the troops. No devil does work by themselves. The devil always got to get a crowd. Always got to get a crowd. Let me continue to read. Look what it says here. Verse 69. We have believed and confidently trusted, and even more. We have believed and we trust the mission. We trust the message, and we trust you as the leader. See, that's what you see what Peter's saying. We are confident and we believe. That's the problem. That is the problem. And any of you leaders on here, you should be praying that if nobody that's a part of the ministry that don't believe in you, that don't believe in the mission, that don't believe in what the Most High said for this particular, for your particular ministry, ask the Most High to give them walking papers. Ask him to. You put it in his court. Give them the walking papers. Deuces. Nobody obligated to chase behind you. Let me give you one more. Luke 15. Let me give you the one. Let's let Yeshua talk about something that happened in the history of Israel. Now I gave you two, okay? I gave you two. Now I'm gonna give you a third witness that we don't have to chase behind your behind, okay? Ain't nobody obligated to chase and run behind you, especially when you decide to lead the body. Ain't nobody kicked you out. You decide to leave. You left. And now you want to protest. Let's look at what it says in Luke 15, verse number 11. Then he said, a certain man, listen to Yeshua here. A certain man had two sons. He's going to give it he's giving a conversation. He's giving the history about the prodigal son. Let's see if the prodigal son daddy chased after him. Let's see if the prodigal son daddy left and ran after him, his own son. We're going to see. This is what I'm talking about. See, this stuff is crazy. When you say certain things out of your mouth, you sound crazy. Listen to what it said. Prodigal son father didn't even chase him, and that's his blood. Come on now. Look what it said. Then he said, a certain man had two sons. The younger of them inappropriately said to his father, Father, give me the share of the property that falls to me. Here we go, entitlement thing. Give me what belongs to me. Give me what belongs to me. See, that's the point. All y'all left-wingers, excuse me, all you left-wingers, all you want is what you want. It's not even for the benefit of the body to prosper with you. With you, your mindset is, give me what I want. Forget everybody else. This ain't about the body. This is about me. This is about my feelings. This is about my position. This is about what I want to do. It's not about the body. It's not for the benefit of the body. It's about what I want to do, and if you don't give it to me, you're bad. You don't care. You don't love me. And all this foolishness. Grow up. Be mature. Stop whining and complaining and crying about stuff because you want to be a victim. Nobody has dibs on the body. And the body does not stop moving because of you. When an arm stops working on a body, the leg's still moving, beloved. When a hand stops working on the body, okay? The fingers on this hand is still moving. When you lose hearing in one ear, the other ear is still moving and working. The body don't stop because one member decide that it don't want to work no more. And so guess what happens? When that does not work, you know what's the next step? Amputation. And if it's one of those parts where it can be amputated and another part put in its place, then you've been replaced. Then you've been replaced. When a heart stops working, when the kidney stops working, when the liver starts working, you get a transplant, meaning the old one is taken out of its place and a new one put in. And that new one functions better than that old one. You have been replaced. The body keeps moving. It makes no sense. It don't stop working, beloved, because of you. Let's get that understood. Let's keep reading. Look what it says. So he divided the estate between them. A few days later, the younger son gathered together everything that he had. See, this is the thing. See, once you get what you want, a lot of these left-wingers out here, once they get what they want, they leave anyway. See, this is why it's key to have discernment. This is why it's key to have discernment, to know that if you decide to do something for somebody, and you know, there's times where the Most High will give you the wisdom and the ability to know that this person means you no good, and he's still asking you or still expecting you to do for them. And that you do for them, and that particular individual leaves and mistreats you and all of these things, okay? Give them what they want and let them go on about their business. But here's the part. See, a lot of these left-wingers are a bunch of prodigal children. But the only difference is with some of these left-wingers, they're not going to return like the prodigal son. See, it's up to you to decide if you're going to return. It ain't up to the prodigal son's father to run after his son. Come on now. Let's read this, man. Look what it says right here. It says, and he had traveled to a distant country, and there he wasted his fortune in reckless, immoral living. See, you don't have to worry about. See, this is why I keep telling y'all. There are people that come in that are left-wingers, okay? They get what they want, or get what they want for a season. The Most High cut their behind off. And guess what? They got what they wanted. They're gifted. They got all these different talents. And you gone about your business. You done disconnected from the body. You done left. You done packed your bags like the prodigal son and left. Okay? But guess what? Again, see, no wisdom, entitlement thinking. So guess what happens now? Because here's the thing. Where the Most High connected you to is a place that probably has wisdom for you, but you don't want to listen because you think you know everything. So guess what? Now that it's time for you to leave because you actually left, nobody kicked you out the house. You left. And guess what happens? Guess what happens? Now you out here by yourself, prodigal child. And now you struggling more than ever. And you are going to struggle. Because you don't have a community mindset. You're thinking about yourself. You got entitlement thinking. You lack wisdom. You lack you lack maturity. And guess what? You just like the prodigal son. You're out here and you wasted all of your talent. You wasted everything that his father gave you. You wasted it. And that's what happened with people when they get money. People that get money, if they are not people who have wisdom, they are going to be broke in a year. And a person who has talents and lack wisdom, they're going to be broke in a few months, less than a year. They're going to be broke spiritually. They're going to be broke spiritually. It's all in a matter of time. Okay? Let's read this. Let's finish up here. Look what it says. Now, when he had spent everything, a severe famine occurred in that country. A famine coming. A famine coming to you left-wingers. All you left-wingers that want to leave the body and protest against the leadership, protest against the doggone, the members, the pastor, the Moreh. You want to protest against the people, bringing false indictments and false accusations, all because you want to rally a crowd. Y'all out there with signs and all this other stuff. But y'all forgot one thing. It don't take dark clouds to rain. This is what y'all forgot. While you out there protesting, ain't no dark clouds to give you a warning that a storm coming. There are times when it just pour down rain. No dark clouds. And you get caught out there in the rain. And guess what happens after that? When there's no dark clouds to hide the sun and it pour down rain, it actually gets hotter for you. It gets hotter for you. When it rains and there's no clouds, and after it finished raining, the steam and the humidity from the street and the sun actually bakes you even more. You forgot about that. You forgot about that. Come on, let's finish up here. Look what it says. Now, when he spent everything, a severe famine came into the country, and he began to do without and be in need. Do without and be in need. So he spent and forced himself on one citizen of the country. See that? There you go. You out here in need. You out here struggling. You out here acting crazy. So guess what? Here's what you do. Here's what you do. Let me go on social media because I'm out here. Ain't nobody paying me no attention. Let me go out here because you're in need of attention. You are struggling and you lack the spirit. You need of attention. And so guess what? Now you got to do just like the prodigal son. You force yourself on people. Oh, I'm the victim. Oh, I'm this, I'm that. And then you're expecting and you're hoping that somebody will come along and see your need and your hunger, and you beg, you're putting yourself out there so you can get a meal of attention. So you can get a meal of attention. I'm the victim. Oh, this, I'm hungry, I'm dying. Well, you spent up all your money. You the one spent up all your spiritual gift. You the one did all these things. Nobody kicked you out, which even though us as leaders is supposed to kick your behind out. We should have kicked your behind out, but we didn't. What's going on, Pastor Cassim? Blessings to you, brother. Listen, you the one did this. You the one did it. Oh, I need, y'all see me over here? Because the people that I left, they ain't paying me no attention. You know why? Because you're a child and you act like a child. And growing up, Big Mama and our mothers taught us to ignore children who can't get their way. So when we're in the store, everybody walks past the child that is crying and kicking and screaming on the floor because that child decides that they couldn't get the toy that they wanted. They couldn't get what they want. So guess what happens? Everything you. Because we're not going to take the bait of being the victim, of you being a victim. You couldn't get what you want. And we told you beforehand, you knew before you went into the store that you wasn't going to get nothing anyway. They have it your way. No, it's not going to happen. So look what it says. So he forced himself on one of the citizens of that country, who sent him into his field to feed pigs. See, you got what you wanted. You got something, but it wasn't what you wanted. You got something. Now you find yourself, instead of being in the palace, now you wilding with pigs. And guess what? It wasn't your father who kicked you out. It wasn't your mother who kicked you out. No, you put your own self in this position. You put your own self in this position. You have a self-inflicted wound. So guess what? Hey, lay with the pigs. You know what? Here's the thing, brothers and sisters. Here's why this is so significant. Because those left-wingers who left, they demand so much attention from anybody, and pigs eat anything. So guess what? You fit perfectly with the pigs. Because you decided that you wanted to you wanted to turn around and get what you wanted from any and everybody, because you're seeking attention. So guess what? Your reward is to lie with pigs and wallow with them, because pig will wallow in anything, eat anything, lay with anything, do anything. So you got your reward. You got your reward, beloved. He would have gladly eaten the carbon pods that the pigs were eating. Look at that. Look at you. Look at you. You sitting around, not only are you laying with the pigs, but guess what? You taking on a pig mindset. You now ready to eat what the pigs eating. So guess what? All of y'all out here, left-wingers who left the church, who want to protest and complain and bring indictments against the leadership and the congregation, okay? Guess what? Y'all a bunch of pigs running around here wilding in everything and trying to get attention from any and everybody. You got your reward. You live with the pigs, you sleep with the pigs, you lay with the pigs, and now you eat what the pigs eat. And guess what? It's nobody's fault but yours. And guess what? Paul didn't run after Demas. Yeshua didn't run after the disciples who left him. And the prodigal son father didn't run after him. So we don't have an obligation to run after your behind. If we choose to do that. If we choose to. But you're taking on the mindset of entitlement, thinking like we have to do it. No, we don't have to do it. You leave the church, you leave the assembly, bye. Bye, deuces, out of here. And if that leader decides he want to chase after you, go ahead, he can chase. That's cool. But don't expect every leader to chase after you. And don't bring no indictments against leaders, because they ain't chasing you. You do what you want to do. Go ahead. You made the bed, you lie in it. Period. Verse 17, and we close. But when he finally came to his senses, see, this is the difference between y'all left-wingers and the prodigal son. The prodigal son understood where his blessing came from. The prodigal son understood also that he was placed in a family that loved him and cared about him. The prodigal son understands all of these things, and he came to his senses, because guess what? He realized that the pigs that he was laying with couldn't do nothing for him. The pigs that he laying with can't do nothing, because all of y'all pigs in the same pod. All of y'all are in the same pen. Ain't doing nothing, can't get nothing from nobody, and griping and complaining and whining and all that stuff. What you complain? Listen, the owner of the pig feeds you slop. You complaining because you eating slop. What pigs eat? You complaining because you eating slop. You want to eat steak and you want to live good. I mean, even the chickens are eating better than you. The chickens and everything eating better than you. I mean, come on. You got what you asked for. You didn't want to live in the house. You wanted to live outside. So now that you're living outside, don't complain about your living. Don't complain about your living arrangements. Don't complain about your living arrangements. I am yet to see a pig live like a dog. Even a dog live in the house. So you leave the house, you put yourself in a position to be lower than a dog. So enjoy the mud. Enjoy the slop. Be what you want it to be. And we don't have an obligation and an opportunity to bathe you. We don't have an obligation and an opportunity to give you a better meal. We don't have an obligation and opportunity to do none of that. You chose your path. You chose your living arrangements. And if you decide to leave the assembly, bye. And I end on that. I pray that y'all get wisdom, man. I pray that y'all don't get caught up in this foolishness out here, okay? Don't get caught up in this foolishness. And all these left-wing protesters who decide they want to leave the assembly and protest. And then not only that, and then here's the thing. This is the thing. You don't want the place, but you want the things. That's what I don't understand about these protesters. You want the things that you protesting against, but you don't want the place, and you don't want the people, and you don't want the leadership, but you want everything that they got in there. You standing outside saying you want we not getting equal right. We want equal right. We want what they got. You don't want to even be around the people. You don't want to do what the people are doing. You want to do none of that. But yet still, you turn around and you want all the benefits that the organization got. You want all the benefits. You want the insurance. That's like somebody, okay, who lose their chair in the Senate or the Congress, and they turn around and talk about how bad the Congress and how bad the Senate is, but you still want, they say you want the same benefits they got. You lost. You lost. Or you one of these individuals that was a Republican, and then you want to switch parties to being a Democrat and talk about the Republicans. When you were benefiting, you said it, you was in the chair in the Senate and Congress for 20 years. Now you finally lost because your ideas and the things that you were presenting didn't give you the advantage anymore because you got lackadaisical and set in your ways. Then a young buck comes and knock you out of your seat. Now you want to switch parties and talk about how bad they are and why you left. No, you didn't leave. You lost. So it's time to go. Don't try to switch parties now. And this is the issue that we have going on right now in the body. Stop trying to bring indictments against leaders and leadership, especially after you left. And if you are going to bring an indictment against leadership, make sure you were in position as a leader to be credible when you bring in indictments. Because half of these folks that are bringing indictments aren't even credible individuals because they were never in leadership, nor were they not only ever in leadership, but they weren't even faithful to the ministry. They weren't faithful in their giving, and they weren't faithful in their talents to the body. You weren't faithful on no level. And then want to decide to leave and bring indictments against the pastor, the Moreh, and bring indictments against all these other people and all the church and everybody else and all these other things. Where were you? Where were you when we were out doing real work? Where were you? Where were you when we was doing actual ministry, actual real work? Where were you? They stealing money. Okay, let's look at the roll. We open up the roll. You gave $20 for the year. You gave $20 for the year, and want to be the main one to bring indictments against somebody stealing money. Just because you got a crowd and just because you got a peanut gallery, that don't mean you telling truth. And I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna end. You better be glad. Y'all left-wing jokers better be glad that the leadership, that the pastor and the Moreh, y'all better be glad that they really, this is actual light version. Okay? Y'all better be glad because they're the ones keeping the folks off of y'all. Because folks in the church really want to expose y'all for who y'all are. But it's the leader, the one that you talking against and talking bad about, is the one who keeping the people off your behind. Y'all have a blessed day. Shalom.